What is up, YouTube? And today we have the leak for Shining Revelry. We get to see all those new Pokemon that they've added to the game and see how much the meta is going to be shaken up. We've already been talking about the EXs. I'll hit them on this video too while we kind of flip through and see what we're working with. But yeah, also, I found my blue. So peace has been restored. I have been desperately looking for it. So first up, we've got Weedle. I'm so excited to play Beedrill. I think this deck's going to be so fun. I think it's like a really cool control style deck, especially with the new trainer cards that we'll see later. Weedle is going to let you put a random Weedle from your deck onto your bench. I think you play this with communication. I'm definitely using this over the other one that just attacks, but that's because we have this Kakuna who can attack for 1 and potentially paralyze the opponent. Just a fun little the cute little clay Kakuna, 80 HP. The other one deals 30 damage, I believe, but being able to potentially paralyze the opponent is pretty good. Beedrill EX is coming in with 80 damage as a stage 2. Not the most damage, but only 2 energy means that you can attack on turn 5 or on turn 6 because you evolve and then you evolve. On turn 3 and 5 respectively, and you have your 2, and you're discarding a random energy from the opponent, which is going to be pretty cool. When Pokemon TCG first came out, energy like ripping from your opponent was a big deal, and taking away that ability. I actually really think the meta is going to shift towards like a more efficient style deck with things like Hitmonchan and whatnot. But we've got a Pinsir who gets to flip a coin and deal some bonus damage. I don't think it's going to be particularly good. We have a Heracross that works pretty similar to this. I'm always thrown off when they have these Pokemon that they're just like always reprinting. You'll see the other Voltorb we have. Sprigatito looks like it's going to be really good. Putting a random grass Pokemon from your deck into your hand, super nice. Just a consistency tool. We haven't had one of these that turns into anything particularly good yet. We have like Combee and we have things that search for basics, but trying to use them it gets in your way to have that many basics without a particular game plan around them. I've tried playing like just Combee to search for basic mons, and you're almost always better off just Pokeballing. Floragato. Also, Paldea, we weren't really expecting it. No one was like, oh, yep, Paldea is going to be the next set, but really cool to see some of these cards represented. I'm a big Meowscarada fan. But we've got 2 Energy Slash, which is really good because it sets us up for a Meowscarada, who I think is going to be so cracked. I personally think we're going to have a shift towards like a single prize potential meta, especially with things like Red and looking at this new Meowscarada. This deals so much damage. This one-shots things like Pikachu. With Red and the bonus damage you get, you're taking things out like Arceus, you're threatening Palkia. Like, there are so many things Meowscarada can take out. And also, we have that ideal 2 energy to hit on a stage 2. I just really think is the sweet spot if you don't have some kind of setup. We've got the regular Charmander. This will just be better than the Ember one that makes you discard one. Charmeleon with Combustion also. And then we've got the new Charizard EX. I think the old Charizard is going to be better, especially with the amount of healing we're about to have in the game. I don't know if we will switch over to a healing meta, but the old Charizard is going to be able to knock anything out despite any kind of healing, whereas this, once set up, is more consistently dealing damage. But how it works is, since you have to be in to use Stoke, you're going to be in a weird spot. I think the other Charizard will be better off because it almost always is firing. If there are more like stage, one prize Pokemon, then this card might be better because when it is set up, it's just going to knock them out back in, every turn. But even like Meowscarada kills this in 2, right? I mean, it'll knock it out, but it's only 1 prize, and then you only need to deal 50 more damage, and that won't be too hard to come about, especially with Red in the meta. So, yeah, we'll just kind of see how that shakes out. I think the old one will be better. We've got another Magmar for some reason. This is like our 3rd Magmar. There's just Pokemon that aren't in the game, and we have Magmar. We've got another Magmortar. I think this one is worse than the Stoke. Not Stoke. The other one, though, that sets itself up. Being able to, like, potentially null the opponent's turn on, like, a good Mon is pretty neat. I do like the art. It's pretty cute. But having 3, you could play the other Magmar that lets you get an energy for free. And this could be kind of like a low-to-the-ground fire deck that maybe utilizes Blaine with, like, Ninetales. I could see that potentially doing something. I just think 3 energy for maybe nullifying a specific Pokemon's attack. I wonder if that is a condition that can be cured. We'll see more about that here in a minute. Paldean Tauros, kind of similar to Heatran, but we've got it as a fire type. 3 energy, fire. You wouldn't really want to play it. It seems similar to like Palkia, the origin form Palkia that you're playing for like good consistent damage, but we don't have a good way to set this up without Moltres, and if Moltres gets knocked out and your Taurus gets knocked out and you lose, you're going to feel pretty upset, but the art's really cool. We've got another Tentacool who deals 10 damage with 1 water, and another Tentacruel. I wonder what a Mega Tentacruel would look like. If you know what a billion-armed Tentacruel might look like, leave a picture down in the comments. But 1 damage for 40, I want to say is very similar to Starmie that we already have. I want to say that one has 90 health and Surf for 30 damage, but it might even be 40. So nothing really interesting being added by Tentacruel. We've got Buizel. We've printed another Buizel. Good looking art. 10 damage, 1 energy. And then we've got Water Arrow Floatzel, which is cool. It's very similar to Zebstrika, but water type. You could play something like Floatzel Gastrodon and be like pecking and stuff. That could be neat. Wiglets, randomly choosing the opponent, dealing random 30 damage, which is cool, especially with like Cyrus, and it evolves into our Wugtrio, which if turn 2 you can get like 1 Misty Pop, turn 4, then we're potentially dealing 150 damage. The problem with this over Dragonite is it's less overall damage, but it's more consistent and easy to set up, but you're sacrificing an extra prize point when it does get knocked out. These can overroll themselves, and that's one of the biggest problems with it. In my last video on tips to climb, we talk about consistency, and this is anything but. Very fun. It will be fun to watch Wugtrio ping an opponent for 150 damage, but it'll feel less fun if that Pokemon only had 10 health left to begin with. We've got Dondozo, who's going to be paired up with the Tatsugiri. This is a better Gastrodon kind of thing, where we're going to be dealing 80 damage plus 10 to the bench. Definitely like playing Cyrus with this. And then we do get free retreat cost if Tatsugiri is on the field because they work together. They've got that cool little combination. 4 energy is quite a lot, though. Water consistently having a lot of energy requirements because cards like Misty exist. And I think needing to have more energy is going to make my B-Drill deck kick your butt. I'm telling you, Porygon Z-Drill is going to go crazy. Maybe not that much. But Pikachu EX, this card is okay. I think it should just be discard 3 energy from this Pokemon. Anytime we have these discard all, it really hurts the ability for us to do anything to them. That's not... They discard all the energy and then you have no way to reset them up, right? So like I could potentially see playing this as like a one-of, because one of the base Pikachu EX problems is like not dealing enough damage. So this fixes the other half of it, but it wouldn't necessarily be super consistent. Being able to pair it up with Pachirisu would be nice, but you're only ever going to get at most with Cyrus being in the meta, it's probably never going to work. If you could kind of do the shuffle on the bench and keep it with 20 health and not worry about it getting knocked out, but there's so much like spread damage coming now that it's not going to be very good. Another Voltorb, because why wouldn't they print another Voltorb? Electric energy, 10 damage, and then a new Electrode, which has the flip a coin, potentially deal more damage. This one also has a retreat cost, so overall I think it's just not as good as the original print we had, so why do we keep printing more Electrodes? Pachirisu, this one's pretty cool. It charges up electric types on your bench. I think something like a Patchy Luxray, who is discarding the energy, or even something like Patchy Electivire, the cards that work well with Volkner, I think could play Pachirisu in it and probably get a little bit of a consistency boost. But you do have to worry about the fact that Pachirisu can be taken out as one of your prize points. We've got the Palmy line, 1 damage punch for 20, 2 damage punch for 40, and then we've got Palmot, who has a similar stat line to like Poliwrath and also has the same ability, but a free retreat cost, which is pretty cool. It's nice to see Pokemon who can zig and zag, especially for like them to be electric types. The opponent can Cyrus it back in, but they will at least take that Rocky Helmet damage. So 2 damage, 70, no retreat cost. Not the best, but at least dealing, the 20 damage to the opponent could be fun. A low to the ground, something like Palmot, Electivire with Patchy. Maybe not Patchy with the Palmot, but maybe something along those lines would be a really cool, interesting strategy. Because look, with the Rocky Helmet, you are knocking 40 off the opponent, and 140 HP is not bad at all. We've got new Abra, 1 damage 20. We've got new Kadabra, 1 damage 30. And again, these lines that have stage 1s that deal attacks for 1 damage are so good. It is definitely the correct design space to make stage 2 Pokemon more effective. And then we have this new Alakazam, who is almost theoretically so cool, but it takes too long to get him online. For 2 psychic damage, you're going to deal 80 and 20 damage to everything that has an energy on it on the opponent's bench. That's not nothing, especially when it comes to an interesting damage portfolio. But something like Manaphy, right, or like Iridus style decks that want to have like spread out energy, or are just trying to like preserve their totals by having, high HP mon in the back that haven't been knocked out yet and like forcing you to Cyrus them. Alakazam does a really nice blanket effect, but by the time it gets set up, it doesn't counter Manaphy that same way, because even if you've done the 20, whatever they've powered up is just going to immediately come in and knock you out and take all that same setup that you've done. So this will be interesting. It would be better, I think, if it dealt 20 damage per energy, but that might be a little too strong. We'll have to wait till we get like an Alakazam EX later that does something like that, because that'd be an interesting effect of trying to Sabrina your opponent's lower energy cards in so you can do something like Psyshot or whatever they would call it to deal bonus damage to the back line that has it. Almost like an interesting, different kind of Hitmonlee mixed with Alakazam would be cool. Mr. Mime, juggling, really cool art. I do really like this art. Potential to deal 80 damage if you get lucky. Just get lucky. Drifloon, 1 damage. Beautiful art. He's getting blown away. I love the background with the purple in the back corner. Looks so good. I wish the card was better. We are evolving into Drifblim, who's going to deal the Gust for 40. Has less health than Tentacruel, by the way. Drifblim's base HP stat, I want to say, is like 155. It's one of the only things that's good about this Pokemon, and it is not represented. But it does have a no retreat cost, so that's neat. It is a different style of that, but I don't know why you would ever play this over something like Giratina. Speaking of Giratina, everyone is talking about how bad Giratina EX is. Giratina EX is going to define this game, I think. Maybe not define it, but Gardevoir Giratina Mewtwo EX is going to be very powerful. The ability to utilize this card plus Dawn as you're setting up a Gardevoir and getting your Mewtwo online in a different way. If you go first, you can set Giratina on the bench, throw your Mewtwo out. You put a free energy on this while you have your Ralts. Next turn, you can Dawn that energy up to your Mewtwo, and you can just equip it with a Psychic Energy, and you are already off to the races on turn 3, dealing 50 damage and setting a Mewtwo up. Then you can the game becomes a little bit more difficult of like, do I need the energy, or do I need the energy, or do I need to just be dealing the damage? But him just being there, doing this, and accelerating your game plan while you have something like a Gardevoir who can utilize it, because then once you have Gardevoir, when Giratina comes in, you don't have to worry about its retreat cost anymore either, because the 2 that it pulls back, you can always re-equip 1, and then you can Gardevoir it back. So I think there is going to see the resurgence of Mewtwo. We're going to see some Giratina EX, Mewtwo EX, Gardevoir decks, and I will be playing them, and hopefully I will champion them for you all, because I really, this is one of those cards that people keep talking about as being so bad, and I think it is going to be very, very good. Next up, we've got Gimmighoul with Chestaflage. Fun little name. It's got the, not the growl effect, but the tail whip effect from Vulpix, and that'll get you set up for Goldengo, who will be later. A Machop that deals 20. Interesting alternative if you're looking for like an evolution line that could go with something. I want to say it's really similar to the old Machop we have, though. We've got a Machoke that deals 20. I like the progression of the artwork. This potentially deals 60 if you get the heads, but the 1, 2, and then the 2. Again, the stage 2s having 2 damage attacks is pretty good. What's nice about this one is also, as you attach more energy to it, you can potentially deal 120, which is more than Machamp EX for 1 more energy, which is funny because it's only 2. Wow, they did kind of just power creep Machamp EX. The other Machamp also dealt 80 for 3, I believe, off the dome. So yeah, no, it was at 100. Point is, this is going to be better than Machamp EX. No one was really playing Machamp EX. If Arceus sticks around, I do think this will be pretty good. I don't even think you need to play this with Lucario when we have red. Why play something that takes so long to get set up? But potentially, that could be cool, like a Hitmon Machamp Lucario deck. Hitmonlee, kick 30. This is funny. Sneaky Lee already is hitting the back line. This card is just what's your flavor when it comes to Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan. Who do you prefer? We've got this Hitmonchan with Magnum Punch, which is really interesting. In Lucario decks, this is worse because it takes longer to get to him, and he's also a basic with only 90. I mean, 3 damage, 90 is not bad, but it gets divided into we could have been attacking with our Hitmonchan 3 times already, while obviously also doing other things. So I think he'll get used as like a fun thing. I feel like now that I look at the card art more, it feels like we've got like lipstick on Hitmonchan, which maybe this could be a female Hitmonchan. I don't know if they can be if they're gender locked or not. We've got Riolu. 2 damage punch for 40. I think the jab is just better. The line makes more sense. We've got Lucario EX 3. You can play this with Lucario also, but you only have so many Riolus. So this one is the one that's meant to go into this. Even then, I think you would play the other one just in case it is out. You can deal some damage with it. Yeah, so this Lucario EX deals 100 and then 30. Being able to have like that sniping damage is nice. But I don't think this is particularly powerful. I think you could just play Machamp with like Cyrus, right? Like if we didn't have Cyrus, it might be more impactful to have that spread damage. It's both ways, right? If you've hit something once and it comes out, you're going to kill it when you Cyrus it in. If we couldn't Cyrus it in, then we could poke it. But having the ability to poke it also gives us the ability to Cyrus it in. So it kind of goes both ways in that argumentation. But I just don't think Lucario EX is going to be particularly good. Next up is Flamigo. 2 coins. 50 for each heads. It's a different Kangaskhan. I might play this. Only 80 HP though, so like gets killed by Farfetch'd before it can get retaliated on if you don't double roll. So probably not very good, but you know, interesting enough of a Pokemon, and I like the art. We've got an Ekans. I don't know why they do this. Two base energy, you know, to deal 30. That's bad. Just use regular Ekans and attack for 20. And then we've got this Arbok. Arbok looks sick, really cool. It's going to poison the opponent for 70 with 3 energy, but I don't think that's going to be particularly good, especially when like the old Arbok from Genetic Apex has been so popular for its like capture effect, which was a lot of fun before Cyrus was in. I am so excited about Paldean Wooper. When I saw the Clodsire, I was like, all right, there has to be a Paldean Wooper. It's got to attack for 1, and it's got to poison the opponent. And if it does all those things, I will make it work. Yeah, or like it's just exactly what it needs. There is a Grimer Muck from the first set that like is the same idea. So we've got our 110 poison, and then we've got Clodsire, who deals 60 bonus damage if the opponent's poisoned for 2. This is so strong. You have, on turn 4, you're attacking for what would have been 10 plus the 2 turns of poison, plus the 2 turns of poison. So 50 plus 120. Clodsire kills anything. Clodsire and Wooper are taking anything out that the opponent has left in. And I think that's going to be really powerful. It's going to be consistent enough. We can guarantee Wooper. We can have the communicator for Clodsire. I might even just be running like 18 trainer Clodsire. This card is going to be so good. I am so excited to make this card do what it needs to do. I mean, 18 trainer, you know, Clodsire, you're pretty much going to have to use it in a dark deck. You have the option to use Koga with the Wheezing if you want to preserve your health. Like, there's a lot of really cool things you can do with this, and I'm excited to try it out. I mean, you could play Clodsire, Darkrai. Like, I might be playing Paldean Wooper, Clodsire plus Darkrai, and we're just dealing crazy damage. I will say, now that I've topped all this hype, we need a way to poison them again. This works on 1 Pokemon, right? If you poison it, then you go into Clodsire, you attack, they send the new thing in. The new thing in is not going to be poisoned. So we'll have to figure out a way that. So probably Wheezing Clodsire. But regardless, I am excited about this card, and I hope the full art looks good. I haven't seen it yet. Spiritomb. Okay, wait a second. This is a Spiritomb for 1 that just can confuse the opponent. 20 damage is fine for 1, but being able to confuse the opponent, The problem with it is, like, the opponent probably isn't attacking or doesn't necessarily have to rely on the attack if they're just getting things set up in the back, right? So the inability to attack. Now, stopping something like a man, this is the real Manaphy counter. You know, you just confuse it and then don't let it. It's a real waste of energy depending on how it is. So this Spiritomb's okay. I might even play it in my Clodsire deck. Who knows? We've got Shroodle. I love this Pokemon. I thought this Pokemon was really cool. 1 damage, 20, and then it evolves into Grafai, who has an ability called Poison Coating, and this might actually be what you're playing with Clodsire, though it's not consistent enough maybe. You just have the chance to flip a coin, and if you get heads, you poison the opponent. And what's cool about it with Clodsire is you're reapplying it. It's 50%, but you can use it multiple times if you have multiple Grafai Grafii. So it's likely that you will poison them again. And so there is the opportunity to just be doing, and I'm excited about this Grafii, and it probably will end up being like Darkrai, Grafii, Clodsire, something along those lines. Tinkaton, 1 damage for 20. Tinkatuff, 2 damage for 30, plus potentially 30 more if you get heads. And then we've got Tinkaton EX. 170 HP is big, but it lives things like Red plus Arceus and other stuff, but inconsistent. It is like a slightly better, slightly worse Marowak. I feel like being able to guarantee the 80 damage is nice, whereas like with Marowak, you could get 0 instead of the 160, but it's 2 energy and a stage 1, where this is a stage 2. And so I don't think this is going to be very good. Fun enough. Hopefully the full art looks good. I do think Tinkaton is a cool Pokemon, but I don't think it's going to perform very well. We've got Varoom, a new steel card, which is cool. Steel, Headbutt, 10, and then we get Revavaroom, who has the ability to prevent all damage to itself, and this is better than making the opponent potentially not deal damage. It's really similar to like accuracy drops versus evasion. When you're increasing your own evasion in Pokemon, it is way worse for the opponent because they have no control or like no ability to interact with you in the same way. So obviously heads isn't guaranteed, but this is like better than Bastiodon. And those people who are playing like the Bastiodon decks with the requirement, like you're still doing the head, the coin flip, but being able to prevent all damage and effects, people will lose some games to getting unlucky against Revavaroom. And I could definitely see this in a like lower to the ground steel deck, something like Revavaroom, Bisharp, Mawile, or Skarmory. Skarmory Revavaroom probably goes crazy, but there will be times where you just don't have enough damage and you miss the heads. But you could definitely steal some wins with this. We've got the Golden Go, who evolves from the Gimmighoul from earlier, who was the Psychic type. He's going to deal 50 damage for every heads, and he's going to get to flip a heads for every steel energy attached to him. So this is an interesting, it's like a Celebi for steel types, because it has to be steel specifically. But we have a way to power it up with like the Dialga. So a Dialga Golden Go could be neat. I don't think it beats out the Arceus that we're going to be dealing with, but Dialga Golden Go could definitely go hard. You could even have some lower to the ground steel types, and you're just normally adding this, the kind of the way Exeggutor EX and Celebi works, where you just need to be putting your energy on something every turn, and you're most likely going to do something. I think some steel types with Adaman, and especially maybe even with the Revavaroom combo, and you could really be lasting long enough for Golden Go to come out and just smack things. We've got a Rattata. 1 damage, 10, and then we've got Raticate, 2 damage, 50. So it would have been nice to get like the some of the alternate forms, like the Alolan forms, but I think we'll get those in a specific kind of set. We've got Jigglypuff, 1 damage rollout, very pretty, singing with the song, and then we've got Wigglytuff, who could potentially show up in some different kinds of decks. It's a different, more severe version. Like it's a less consistent version of Shaman, who heals for 10 every turn. But I think there could be a fun normal deck with like be Barrel, Wigglytuff with water energy using Irida, and you've got Wigglytuff healing yourself up. I just don't know that the HP thresholds on anything are going to particularly matter enough. I think a Steel Wigglytuff deck with Adaman like sounds fun and interesting, but I don't think it's going to be like particularly crazy. We've got a Lickitung, a very cute art, 2 rollout. Again, how do we have more Lickitungs? It really throws me off that this is our 3rd Lickitung. And Licky, who's also rolling out for 70 damage. We've got Bidoof, 2 damage. This art's very pretty, the watercolor style, 30 damage. And Bibarel EX, who I think will we'll have that Wigglytuff deck. I don't think this card's going to be particularly good. 4 energy is a lot of energy to ask on a card. It's not water. I mean, the card looks so good. I love the way that they've integrated the background with the water droplets. But I don't think this card is going to do particularly much. 4 energy is just too high, and healing 30 doesn't matter in the grand scheme of most EX cards. They're just going to kind of knock you out. But if Bibarel takes a big hit, like 130 from Arceus, it'd be down to 30 health. You could heal 20 with Wigglytuff. You would heal 30 from its effect, and then you could heal 40 off of Irida. That's 90. And you still die to Arceus. So that's like the problem with Bibarel, I feel like, is that healing doesn't matter. If you had the second Wigglytuff, you'd be like full combo set up, but that's not going to happen. very often. But you can pair it with the Super Fang Bidoof, which is nice. You can knock anything out with Bidoof into Bibarel. I wonder if there's a... hold up, we're cooking. Bibarel EX, Gardevoir EX, Dawn, Water Energy. I'm going to leave that there. I'll make a video about it later. We've got Baniri, who's going to deal 1 damage with 20, and we've got a Lopunny who deals 30 damage with 1. So really just, this card is not very good. I like the other Lopunny. It's got a lot more flavor, being able to deal damage to the thing. It's just a more specific, but we have cards like Hitmonchan who, do this already. But this is generic, so why play it instead of Farfetch'd? Cyclizar. This card's going to deal 20 damage for its next attack. Interesting. Interesting. Sort of. It's just worse Farfetch'd. Like, why deal 40 damage every turn when I could deal 20 and then 40 damage every turn? It doesn't stack. It just says during your next turn. And so why would I do that? Farfetch'd just making this card irrelevant. Iono. I don't think this card's super great, but it'll be fun for like a disruptive strategy. It does kind of give you a reload. Problem with cards like this is they cost your trainer card, and that's becoming way more important as more better trainers are getting printed. But if you don't have anything to do, being able to potentially disrupt the opponent and then refresh your own hand could be good. A friend of mine suggested that the fossil decks with this would be good because sometimes they just get bricked and can't find what they need. But if your deck is already running something like communication, you're going to go down an advantage consistently because you communication the card back, then you Iono, and suddenly you're working with like 2 cards to your opponent's 5. And they also got the same mulligan. Pokemon Center Lady. Being able to heal 30 damage, pretty decent, like a lower Erica, a less specific Irida, but also recovering the special condition. I can see this in berry decks if you're having like a problem with the sleep and getting really unlucky. I could see this being really annoying for my Clodsire deck, but I think this will become better in certain niche things. This is a card that reminds me of like really good side decks because there have to be very specific thresholds that you're beating out of the opponent's turns to want to use this card, because you also have to have this card, which means you want to have you'd play I could see it being a one of, but I think some of the other trainers just really push cards like this out. It will definitely go in the 18 trainer deck though. We've got red, deal 20 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX. This is going to cause so many specific breakpoints, and I feel like this card is going to cause us to shift with cards like Meowscarada, who can now deal 150 with 2 energy and red to EX Pokemon. I could see EXs being less powerful overall. The more valuable trainer cards are, like I was just saying, the more important every single one of them is impactful. And if I'm playing a Meowscarada deck and you draw red, you are not going to use that card at all. It's a dead card and there's no siding. So in like professional play, if we end up getting any kind of siding mechanics, I could see cards like this. This card, they did a really good job designing this card, honestly. I think that the 20 is impactful. It's like what I'm always hearing from Giovanni, but it has to be an EX. So you have to get better at building decks and understanding when and how to use a card, and I think that is going to be good for the community as a whole. We've got Team Rocket Grunts, and this card is like potentially also one of those meta-defining cards where I almost think there's like a lower efficiency deck that could happen. If you're trying to set up a Palkia and I Team Rocket Grunt you and get a couple heads the same way you're trying to Misty Flip me, I do think having a card like this is a good response to Misty, sort of, but not really. Really, I would just rather not see a card like Misty exist. This, if the opponent has like a 1 energy attack, this card doesn't do anything because they can always re-equip on their turn, or you could always fail it, so you can't rely on it. I think this is a fun tech card for certain like control-y decks, which I will definitely be playing. I think like Porygon Z plus this card could be so cool. Like being able to get rid of what they have set up with Grunt and then changing everything they need with Porygon Z is going to be such a fun thing to pull off, but it's not going to be consistent at all. Beedrill being able to just like continue pulling things away. So I think this card is really cool. I don't think it's going to be particularly good. It could be good, but Misty can be good without hitting Misty because there's a threat to it. And oftentimes the better Misty decks don't necessarily have to get the coin flip right. This is potentially messing up decks that are taking longer to get set up. If you spend 4 turns hard putting energy on like a Golem and then I rip them off with Grunt, you're going to want to go crazy. but I don't know how impactful that's going to be yet, especially when we're seeing things like the 1 energy fighting decks. This does nothing. Full art Meowscarada. Looks like we've gotten to like the full arts. Full art Meowscarada card looks sick. I want to use my fighting claws to mess up the EXs that are around the town. Full art Weasel, very pretty. Tatsugiri and Dodonzo's mouth is very fun. Grafai, full art. This is really cool. I do like the way it is sitting back there. Good choice. We've got Golden Go, who's going to be golden surfing his way through with all that steel. This Wigglytuff is scary. She knows the secrets of the universe, and she will let you know them, and you will go insane. Beedrill EX, I am always torn on these style of cards, but I do really like Beedrill. So if I pull this, I will not be upset. The Charizard EX, we've got the Wugtrio EX, Pikachu EX, Giratina, Lucario, Clodsire. I think I like this one more than the full art, honestly. Tinkaton, really cool with the hammer in the background. Bebarl, who's just carefree pressing. Full art Iono will be cool. Pokemon Center Lady, super pretty. Red is popping, so cool. Want this card. I really want it and blue. Team Rocket Grunts. This card's awesome. I will be playing this card. And then we have the full art Pikachu EX, who is so sick. I think this card is so bad, but man, does this art go hard. Full art Paldean Clodsire, super cute. It's like a National Geographic snapshot, or like Poke World, Poke Earth, I think is the series. We've got the Tinkaton, super awesome with the pop B background. Bebarl, very similar to the Bidoof. Very nice continuation because I do have that full art and I will be using it with Super Fang. This goes hard. It's like a stained glass mosaic almost. I think this card is going to be way better than people are giving it credit for. And then we have the shinies, which is the like appeal for this set. They're higher rarity, and man, do I want like a shiny Weedle. It's just the same cards, but potentially in shiny form, and it gives like collectors more to like look for. I do think people will be stuck in a Shining Revelry. I will say if they utilize it as like they're kind of isolated in certain packs, this could be really cool. We've got the shiny Kakuna. The background has the shiny. We've got the yellow. Super cool. Looks very pretty. The cards just really pop. The green Riolu, the Varoom, Revavroom. Now, I will go hard for this Beedrill. We will stand for this Beedrill. I think this one looks so sick. I wish the pose was a little more dynamic, but the colors itself are so pretty. And the mosaic rainbow on the Beedrill wings. We've got the shiny Charizard. Wugtrio, who's like a little too, I don't know. The Lucario, who, you know, the yellow's kind of whatever. And this is sick. The Pokeball. The golden Pokeball, this is like how I think you should do these immersive cards. Like I've been waiting on like full art professor, research. Like when are we going to get our full art professor's research, or when are we going to get like a professor's research reprint with like a different professor? They do that with like the boss's order cards in the TCG. This card looks so cool, and I hope I pull it because I will flex on everybody with my golden Pokeball. They did such a good job on the art. It looks so good. But that being said, that's the whole set. Probably went on a little longer than I thought, but I'm excited. Let me know which cards you're excited about seeing in the meta. I think Beedrill is not going to be very good, but he's going to be very fun. I'm super excited to rip the energy off my opponent's cards with my new stun strategies with things like Gengar EX and like Team Rocket. I just think it's going to be a blast to experiment with all these cards. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. Comment, let me know what card you're excited to see. Leave a subscribe. I've got another series where I spin a wheel and do some like battling online. I'm excited for ranked. I'm probably going to start doing like a road to ranked series soon where we're using some different decks and whatnot. So stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button so you see all the new content I'm working hard on for you guys, and I'll smell you later.